Hey there, guys. Welcome back to another lufcnews.co.uk video. In the preview to Chelsea, in another testing game, exciting times again. Even though it is a bit of a storm at the moment in the Premier League for Leeds United, it's also one that we can relish and really get up for tomorrow. Expecting an extremely difficult game against Chelsea. Obviously, did really well with the 10 men against Chelsea, against Arsenal, should I say, in a 1-1 draw where Moises Caicedo tried to play the bluff over the referee. Was it me? Was it me that tackled? I think it was it Marino, and it was a crazy foul, forceful and rightly sent off. And obviously that means he won't be playing tomorrow evening, which is very good because he's a top player. And as for Leeds United, it's now time to push on, to really look forward to the game, and to also take some positives from the weekend. I know it seems a bit doom and gloom with the amount of defeats we've had against Manchester City, your Brightons, your Nottingham Forest, the Fulham one, Arsenal over the course of the season. But there is still plenty to play for. It's only goals scored now that's keeping us out of the bottom three. Some really weak teams this season, though. You look at the likes of West Ham, right down there. Wolves haven't won a game yet and are still to win one. And then there's Burnley, who realistically we expected them to be down there, but have also beaten us too. And Sunderland, who are in fine fettle right now. Again, another team that was very well backed in the summer. And it just shows when you spend the money in the right areas, and you can spend enough of it, then you can do really well. So on to tomorrow then. What do I expect? What do you expect? Please leave your comments below, guys. Really looking forward to getting into this one tonight. It's going to be an intriguing game. There's always that bit of bite. They're a real rivalry. And as Lewis Dayton, a very good content creator, who's a big Leeds United fan, has created, I think it's one I am really looking forward to watching on his side of things. Go check that out when we've finished here, because he's an extremely talented person. He knows his stuff inside out, and he's in terms of his content creating, wow, it is so much better than mine. He's amazing. So yeah. Anyway, on to Leeds. We saw Daniel Farke had his press conference today. There were lots of questions asked about injuries. Anton Stark, Daniel James, obviously now Dan James is out for 8 weeks, which is a really difficult one to take. A player that was so well involved, a real asset to the side last season, not quite managing to find the form because of the lack of consistency of playing time. I think it was a bit of a disappointing move in playing for Wales in the international break after he had been out injured. I'm not sure whether it was the right thing for him to do. But Daniel thought at the weekend he just about got back to full fitness and was ready to start, and now comes away from the pitch again injured. And it's like, how many more times are we going to have this? So again, we've got Longstaff out for this storm, or I'm calling it the Leeds storm that's ahead, and we've also now got Daniel James out. So Sean Longstaff and Dan James to miss the Christmas period fixtures, which is a real blow for our side, especially with the lack of individual quality we do have, and the pace that needs injecting into it. Because you look at Noah Okafor, a player that's got a lot of quality, very technically gifted, a bit deceiving at times because his skill makes up for the half of the yard of pace he does lack. But having said that, Daniel James, if we could have had him playing, I fully believe running at Cucurella, he would cause him a lot of issues. And that's a real blow. But now I hope that Daniel is going to stick to the 5 or 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it. And I've got a doubt that he isn't gonna. I feel like he will revert back to his usual 4-3-3 system that he likes to play. He was talking today about the 4-4-2. That was very much the formation when he was growing up, and now he the one striker situation. He does like to sometimes mix it up and play two, but I don't think he's gonna. And I think it's going to be one hell of a mistake if I'm totally honest with you. And we don't want to find ourselves in a position again where we're conceding. I'd rather be solid and then break in the right moments. You know, we saw against Man City that we managed to press up really high on them with 5 players. At the time, I think it was Vardiol that gave the ball away. And he pretty much played it because he was under massive pressure from the lads up top. And it caused confusion because they hadn't pre-planned this. It's very rare Daniel makes changes like that at half-time. And it was refreshing, extremely, because I can't remember a time where I've seen him be proactive during a football match or at half-time. Usually is the 70-minute mark where he likes to make his changes, as we know. And it does cause real question and concern for me, certainly in the next two. I'm not really looking too much forward than that in terms of on a Daniel Farke perspective, because I don't believe he'll be Leeds manager this time next week, if I'm honest. I hope I'm wrong? I'm not so sure, but I could be wrong is what I will say. Which will be interesting to see what the board have to say after these 2 fixtures pass. But all we can ask for is a certain commitment and to make sure that we give absolutely everything we've got. We need that first 20 minutes. We need to make sure at least we don't concede, keep things tight. Hopefully we are playing the 5 back, because I think that then helps Goodmanson too, because he should be playing for me. He can get forward, and then having the 5, it also gives extra cover on that left side too, which is extremely important, as we've seen over the season. It's not been quite good enough down that side, so he definitely needs some help there. Smudgy Creaney, good to see you again, my friend. Will be fantastic to win tomorrow night. Glad to see Fulham getting hammered 4-1, is it now, by Manchester City at the moment. Excellent. Well, that's really good. Again, another team that we got beat by a Gabriel Goodmanson own goal. There was nothing in it. I thought, obviously Longstaff that game hit the crossbar. It's probably been one of my biggest criticisms of Sean, where he just doesn't get his shots off quick enough, in my opinion. And on the other side of that, doesn't like to shoot very often. And I think, it could be a confidence issue, but not quite Mr. Consistent, in my opinion, since he came to Leeds United. And there's lots for him to improve going forward. Obviously, he's now out 6 to 8 weeks, so probably not going to see him till at least early February, so when he comes back in. But it would be great, like you say, Smudger, to get a win. I think it's vastly important for especially Daniel, if he really wants to keep his job. He's put himself in sort of this situation. There's been reports that Daniel was very much at the front line of the recruitment this summer, and I can't help but feel they're using him as a little bit of a scapegoat in case that they want to give to almost part company with him. And I think it's a little bit harsh what they've done, but I don't think he was properly backed in the summer, and that's why we are where we are, unfortunately, because we don't come with the commitment every game, in my opinion. I think the Brighton one was, and the Forest, the way we just completely decapitulated or whatever you call it. It was absolutely horrific. So we've definitely got to be on it. They're a top side. We will be punished. They're very good at corners as well, which is something we've got to watch for. Very much in swinging. And I don't know how Lucas Perry will get on with that. We saw it at the weekend. It was a bit weak, but at the same time, I have to defend him because I thought it was a foul. He was getting pulled by I think it was Bernardo Silva. So the top 6 sides do get those decisions. They play the game. You saw with the Donnarumma situation, there's been a hefty talk on that from Daniel, especially after the match. And there was little mentions in today's press conference about the situation involving Donnarumma and the almost cheat card so that the team could readjust and speak with Guardiola, because obviously we went 2 up top, Leeds United, and it caused a lot of confusion for them, because you can see that Pep literally gave the pep talk to his players. So yeah, so get your thoughts in below, guys. What do you think the score's going to be tomorrow night? And under the lights, it's always my favourite time at Ellen Road. A little bit late on the kickoff time, but I don't mind, because it's obviously a huge fixture. Goes back many years, well before I even touched this earth. Why Leeds and Chelsea are rivalries. There's always that bite in the game. You know, there's even when players like John Terry leave, we saw after during the Aston Villa game where we gave the goal back in 2019, I believe it was. So yeah, you know, and John Terry was giving all the big mouths, and Leeds fans were singing and at him and chanting about Chelsea. So there's always, it's never too far away, is that rivalry. And as songs go by, we all know, you know, it's always an exciting one, and one for the neutral to really look forward to. And us as supporters, really, really fascinating rivalry that hasn't obviously been played so much in the last 20 years as much as it should have been, obviously due to Leeds not being in the Premier League, and yeah, it was just been a very inconsistent time with lots of financial issues and things going off externally off the pitch. But now we're back in the Premier League. It'd be lovely to establish, but I still feel like we're very short in a lot of areas. So it's making sure back when we get into January, as we've spoken about many a times, that we get some money back into the team and we invest properly, because the summer really concerned me because of the fact that we've literally put money out on players that haven't played. Sebastian Bornau was mentioned, like I said today, that he'd had a lot of injuries since coming to Leeds. His record isn't great either. Hadn't played that much for Wolfsburg in the time that he was there due to the amount of injuries, and you know, missed bits of pre-season. And then coming into a new group's always very difficult, let alone if you've been injured during the pre-season part, and getting yourself back up to speed can be problematic, to say the least. So it'd be nice and refreshing to see a new face come into the group, even in December, where you feel like you're well into the season. There's still lots of football to be played, and you know, when we talk about Christmas, we're looking at the darts, we're looking at football. Which one wins? Which one's the better? I'll leave that to you guys, but I know I'll be picking the football. But certainly we'll keep an eye on the darts and hoping that Leeds United fan Luke Humphries does extremely well come the time when it gets to the Ali Pally. Yeah, should be very good. But back on to topic, it's going to be a good game, I hope. I think there's going to be quite a fast start now. There's a lot of things that we have to consider with the Chelsea team, and that is the threats that they do have, the pace that they play with, and as a group, they seem to starting to be established now. So just having a little look at their team from the Arsenal game. You know, you've got Robert Sanchez in goal, who I think is very temperamental. I don't necessarily think he's the best keeper, and I believe that's the keeper that went to Rochdale on loan many years ago. Mark Cucurella, you know, always seems to give the big leg. Talks a good game. Not a bad player. So he got Brighton's Player of the Season 1 year, I believe. But you know, there's lots of areas down that side I think we can really get at. I don't know. See, the system, we don't actually know what it's going to be. So if it's a 4-3-3, I'll be very disappointed. I think this is a real opportunity to get at Trevor Chalobah and Wesley Fofana in this game, and to test their resolve during the match, because, you know, I think this has been one of the biggest criticisms of English football right now, is that not many teams play with two up front. And as a defence, you can go to a fallback against any team because you've only got one man to really deal with. Obviously, the two wide men come into play, fair enough. But you've not got a great deal to have to watch out for. So it'd be something for me that I'd like us to do again. I think Metcher and Calvert-Lewin's definitely potential for them to start building relationships in the game. I think, you know, you've seen both of them score. Metcher's Calvert-Lewin's got 2 for the season so far, and Metcher, you know, he seems to be scoring for fun lately. He's in the right area at the right moment, and it's just what you want from a striker. The penalty was very poor, but managed to score. Technically, it's an open play goal, regardless of missing the penalty. Then you look at Chelsea's midfield, and they had Reece James and Moises Caicedo in there. Now, Reece James is more of a right back. He's more of a full back that plays for Chelsea. I'm very surprised to see him in the central midfield role. It's not very often I have. I remember when he was on loan back at Wigan in 2018. I think he played in the middle for them quite a lot, scoring a goal against actually Leeds United when they played us at the DW Stadium when we won 2-1. And it was a very good free kick. And you sort of got the feeling back then he was going to be a very good, talented player that's now managed to break himself into the England squad. But it's one of those for me. I think it's more the front four that are going to cause the issue. So if Leeds can manage to neutralise any sort of threats from these three, such as Estevo, Fernandez, Neto, lots of pace, lots of talent, lots of attacking ability there to really try and get at Leeds. If we can try and stop that will be half of the battle. It's going to be a real tough task. Bogle will be up against Pedro Neto. You're going to have Estevo up against potentially Gunnarsson and Enzo Fernandez. I can imagine Ampadu will be keeping an extremely close eye on him too. And I think from the first minute, let them know we're there. Start to make some tackles, try and get stuck in, not to an excessive degree with any forceful intent too much, due to the fact that VAR is very much in the picture right now, where it's complete. It's just I can't stand it to be honest, and I think there's lots of work still to be done with it. I think the offside situations are just horrific. If you've got a size 15 boot on, which is extreme, or a size 5, then you could be if the attacking player's got the size 5 boot and you're onside. But if it's the opposite way around, then the likelihood is you're going to be offside if it's down to feet and toes. And I think there's lots of problems. I'm surprised it hasn't really been fully addressed yet, if I'm totally honest with you. And I think the supporters aren't really given enough clarification during the football matches on situations where there's fouls or potential red cards, etc. And it's something that I'm really disappointed by the FA that they've not managed to improve this and to come up with better solutions and ideas to give to supporters during matches when we're just literally stood there. And it really frustrates me, because it almost, if you score a goal and then it comes up with VAR check, it takes the sting out of the game. And the game's about goals. We should be encouraging it, not discouraging it. And I do worry to myself how long that will go on for. But just back to the team news, we're looking at obviously Anton Stach coming back for Leeds. And he will obviously have that presence in midfield, the height, the tackling, and the potential to play a little bit more box to box. Should we go with that 3-5-2 situation? I'm hoping we do, because I think Stach's got so much more to offer. It seems to be a really good presence again in midfield. And I think, especially when goalkeepers do want to go long, he always finds himself in that position, ready to take on the opposition's player and to head the ball. And he usually wins a lot of the 50-50s, which, it's something I've been impressed with. He has struggled a little bit at times, and I think this is obviously, if you watched A Day in the Life of Anton Stach, he basically confirmed the rib injury that he has basically been playing with, and he's been having to have some sort of gel put on every week to try and quickly fix that issue that is currently carrying. And fingers crossed he will be back to full fitness this coming game for tomorrow. So just looking at the Leeds lineup now, we're going to just quickly go over that. So obviously talking a little bit about Lucas Perry, a goalkeeper that's not quite found his form yet at Leeds. I think that there's going to be big issues with him if he carries on in this way. I think Caldalo will have to come back in. Some of his commanding's pretty good on the whole. Kicking, not so much. And, guys, let's hear what you've got to say about Lucas Perry. He came on a big fee for a goalkeeper. I mean, 15 million is no cheap fee. If you look at all the goals that he's prevented, though, at previous clubs, it's a fantastic. And, anyone that is looking on a player database situation at bringing footballers in, obviously that's a model that Brighton and Bournemouth use. And Brentford, obviously. It's just a format, though, for me, that it has to be used in the right way. The amount of scouting to do it on that basis, it has to be key. You could be playing in the Scottish Premiership and scoring, 25 goals. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be so easy to bring that sort of calibre of level down to the Premier League. So, you have to assess what league they're in. Do we think they can make that step up to the Premier League? Because it's so fast. You don't get any time. There's no time to think, and before you know it, you can be left behind. So it's imperative that Leeds assess the situation, and as well with the goalkeeper coach Ed Wootton, because I don't believe he's been good enough either. He has to be addressed too. Going into the back line, then I thought Pascal actually had a very good game at the weekend. I was more impressed with his ability, his presence. There was a clear command from him this weekend. The partnership back linked up with Joe Rodon looked a lot more firm. I think with Xhaka, he would suit a back three better than just a one-on-one. And then there's Joe Rodon, Mr. Consistent. Every week, Joe is absolutely fantastic. He's worked clearly on the set pieces on an offensive point of view this summer. And you can see it in his game. It's massively improved. One of my favourite players under the Daniel Farke era that's been brought in. I don't believe that he's a finished article, a finished product yet. I think there's lots more he can give. I think in his game, he's always a yard quicker than the offensive attackers against Leeds. And he's someone that's very passionate on the pitch, always lets you know when he's not happy with you, very much got a captain's head on him. And I think in time will be a very good captain, just has to make sure that it's totally under control in terms of his mindset. But he is offering a lot for Leeds, and he'll be crucial tomorrow night, especially with physical presences. If should Liam Delap play, I don't believe it's suspended, but obviously João Pedro's been playing, who was a very good attacker as well, and he doesn't mess about. So it's critical. Leeds are totally switched on from the second half, from the first half, etc., making sure that they're not giving any types of gaps away that potentially could hurt us from Chelsea. Because if they get by one man, then there needs to be a next one ready to go, especially down left side. It's obvious teams are going to be trying that tactic to get down that side, and whether or not it works for them, I don't know yet. But should we go with a back three or back five, to me, I don't think it's going to be as easy to get by Leeds, because we've got some top quality defenders, really. But it's just a case of making sure that we're totally solid and we're concrete at the back. And just a quick one, and it's just an interruption. It's currently Fulham 3, Manchester City 5, which I've just noticed on my phone. That is absolutely nuts. Who would have ever thought Fulham would score 3 against Manchester City? I mean, they didn't look like scoring 1 against Leeds, so that's very interesting. So Emile Smith-Rowe, Iwobi, and Chuck Weezy have pulled 2 back for Manchester City, for Fulham, should I say? Sorry, as they went 5-1 down against Man City, which is crazy. So they're back in that with 10 minutes to go. Extremely intriguing. And just some other scores to keep you up to date, guys. Bournemouth currently drawing 0-0 with Everton, and Newcastle Spurs is 0-0 at half-time. So not really too much action, and it looks like Fulham and Man City have adopted all the goals for today after a struggle getting through Leeds' second half at the weekend. As for Jayden Bogle, I like Jayden. I think he's got a lot to offer. Again, similar to Joe, I still think he's got more to give too. I think there's going to be it's going to be a big season for him. I don't feel like we've really got going yet with all the international breaks that's been on. I think there's a lot of potential for him. He likes to get forward. I do think he lacks half a yard. Now it'd be interesting to see what everybody has to say. But I do think he lacks half a yard in terms of his pace and his athleticism. But it's something that I'll keep an eye on over the season. But he's certainly adapted really well, I think, to the Premier League. And he's obviously learned from those previous experiences with Sheffield United, where they were just conceding goals for fun, and a lot came down his side that year. So yeah, he's done remarkable really for Leeds since coming. And probably the most improved player under the Farke era as well, Jayden, because I wasn't sure about him when he first arrived. I think there were a few nerves in there as well. As for the midfield, we'll touch on James Justin as well. We spoke about the left side really, but I thought he did okay. Very difficult for him though, being a right-footed player, and and you're almost your strength's going to be on your right foot. So when teams try and get in behind, it's always very challenging to get back and get stuck into the defence. But we'll have to wait and see whether he goes back to Gabriel or whether he gives James another go. I'd be going back to Gabriel Goodmanson, bring him Biol in, play him down the middle, then go for Strauch on the left and Rode on the right. Two wing backs for me would be Goodmanson and Bogle. Then the midfield situation would be Tanaka, Stack, and then Ampadu. And then obviously up top, I'd go Calvert-Lewin and Mecha. So it's pretty critical. We've got some sort of midfield that's ready to get stuck in at the weekend. We'll just quickly go to the comments, guys. I do apologise. Helen's been sat there for a while. It would be great to see to get a win. It absolutely would be, Helen. It's going to be one of the toughest games of the season, if not the toughest. Mark, we're just going to show this. Fulham 4, Manchester City 6. Oh my gosh, it went to 5-4 as well. So Fulham, it is 5-4. Right, okay. Yeah, I'm going to say, so it's 5-4. Manchester City, what is going on right now? Absolutely mental. Sander Bergeron goal, which went in the 54th minute for Man City as well. So in theory, Fulham have actually scored 5 tonight, which is crazy. Mark's also said, thank you very much, Mark, for that as well. Keep the scores coming in, guys. We win 2-1. I hope so. I'm not going to say what I've backed for tomorrow in my little predictions that I do. But, I think it's going to be obviously hard. And Daniel's got to win both. It's very much it feels a situation where it really could be the end. But we saw at the weekend, Leeds do have it in them. And the one good thing is the players are responding. So the players responded really well to the tactical changes that Daniel made, the tweaks, and to not play Aronson and to see how good Leeds were. It looked as though, to me, felt like we were playing with 11 men for a change. So that was also very refreshing to see too. Just a little bit then onto the last one. So Willie Nonto. Big question marks come January now then. There's a lot of talk that Willie could leave in January if game time doesn't increase. And it's a big concern because he's one of our more creative players. He's got pace. Again, another player that's very deceiving. He's got a lot of ability on the ball. His ball retention works extremely good. And he's a ball carrier. He isn't afraid to run at defences for such a small person. I think he probably terrorizes defenses a lot more than somebody that's a little bit taller like Anton Stack. So I hope to see him playing at some point during this match. I think the system formation changes that may apply don't quite suit Willie's game or to the system especially. He has played up front before for other teams who we got him off last time. But unfortunately, I just can't see him playing. I think he'll be a very good impact player, though, for when we do need him during the match, because we're 100% going to need him. And obviously, Dan James, injured for 8 weeks and not going to be returning for some time, unfortunately, due to another hamstring injury. So as for the bench, Noah Okafor is also another option. I really like him. Not the quickest, not the fittest either. Since he's come to Leeds, he's not looked fit at all. But still one of my favourite players going forward. Seems to be a player that when we know he's going to play and he's going to create things, he's all over the pitch. And from an attacking stance, I think he offers a lot more than most do, especially going forward. So it's imperative. Joel Pirro, don't think he's got much of a future left at Leeds, if I'm honest. Very slow. Looks like he's playing in sludge half the time. So I would like to see in January to see him leave Leeds to allow another body to be able to come in. And it helps us on the PSR front as well. I think he's he's a good championship player. Very strange. I'm not seeing many players like Joel because he's very good with his feet. He's good at playing good long passes, similar to Harry Kane in a striker sense. And I'll not forget that ball he played against Bristol City last season. It was just like an arrow. It was absolutely brilliant. Pablo Hernandez-esque would have been proud of that too. And he's a very good finisher. His thinking's actually very quick. It's just such a shame that he doesn't have a bit of Dan James, and Dan James doesn't have a bit of Joel Pirro. But that's why when you get them type of players, they're going to cost 60 million because of how good they are and what they can add to teams. But yeah, it'll be, for me, for how little Joel's played, and rightly hasn't played because he isn't good enough, it will be a sensible choice and decision for the Leeds United board, owner, chairman, manager to look to move him on in January, because there's teams in the Championship that will be, let's say, maybe hovering around the playoffs and want some affirmative within that side. And Joel will fit in very well, and I'd expect him to do extremely well in the Championship once again. So yeah, Alex Ellis, nice to see you again, mate. MOT, come on, Leeds. Yes, too right, mate. It's an exciting time for Leeds tomorrow. Let's hope that we can get the result that we need, first of all, and hopefully again, same commitment, same outputs, and let's go Leeds. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. We're going to end it there for tonight. Previews are always a bit challenging to do, but you know, we've heard from Daniel and we've discussed. And if there's anything else you'd like to see in the videos coming up, we're going to have some guests on. We're going to be talking Leeds United. We're going to talk about what we need in January. So we've got a special episode coming for that. And there's plenty more LUFC news action to come. Continue to follow for any articles, posts, likes, shares, comments. Always appreciated, guys, by myself and the team. And yeah, we look forward to the new year. And thank you to all our followers this year that have continued to give us the support. And yeah, thank you very much. And as for this one, we're over and out. Thank you ever so much, guys. This video will be available after the live. So if you're hearing this and it's not live now, you don't have to comment. But if you do, it will be taken into the next episode to discuss. And we'll see you hopefully. I don't think tomorrow, if I'm totally honest. I think it will be potentially the day after, I think. But we'll see. Keep an eye out, guys. Thank you very much. See you later. MOT, marching on together.